Fingers in Pies podcast, brought to you by Meron Freight UK.
Right, okay, so I don't even know what episode this is. What is this? Four. Like someone knows, you know. The production team are telling me. Welcome to episode 4 of the Fingers in Pies podcast with Meron Freight UK. Lucky enough to be joined with another guest. We keep getting them, Tommy.
We do.
We've of course got Tommy Watson from Meron Freight UK. Thank you very much for keeping on with us.
That was good fun.
You're locked
it's all
in.
Good fun.
You're locked in now, mate. You've got no choice.
As long as you keep bringing the pies up.
Keep bringing the pies, indeed. And we're lucky enough to be joined by CEO of Draper Tools, Matt Sheen. How are you?
I'm very well.
Yeah?
Thank you for the invitation.
No problem. First podcast?
Yes, it is.
Are we taking your podcast virginity? Is that what we're
Podcast
doing?
virginity, I love it.
Absolutely, yeah.
We won't repeat what we were saying off air that when you told the missus you were doing a podcast today.
Yeah, she was quite short and sharp with her response. But you know, it's not too serious.
No, it isn't. It isn't. No, exactly. We have got some pies on the table that I didn't just go to a certain supermarket over the road and buy. I was prepared. No, I did just go out and buy them.
Yeah.
We've got some fruit ones. We've got some savoury ones.
Are they surprise savoury?
One of them is a surprise savoury.
Right, yeah.
So one of them is a normal pork pie.
Yeah.
Another one's got a little bit of a taste of something. But I'll be honest, I had one before. Couldn't taste it really.
Okay.
So it's the quality pie. And one of them is standard apple pie. So help yourself as long as you want. We'll start off as we mean to go on. It's called the Fingers in Pies podcast. Bit of a weird, random name, Matt. A bit of a sketchy one.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where that came from, actually.
Yeah.
Where did it come from, Tommy? Were we drunk? We weren't even drunk at the time, were we?
No, surprisingly. I think we just had a bit of a conversation. Suddenly it just went, you know what?
I really like that.
That works quite well. We'll go with it. And then we thought, does it just remind everyone of American Pie? And then a certain scene in American Pie, and actually thought it kind of worked quite well. So it was,
Leave it at that, mate.
Leave it at that.
Yeah. It's stuck now. The whole idea of it is that...
Stuck with it now.
Yeah, the whole idea of it is that we've all got so much going on. I think that was it. Tommy said the normal 9 to 5 doesn't exist anymore.
That's it.
And you're juggling family, you're juggling hobbies, and you're juggling work, and it seems as though fingers in pies. Everyone's got lots of fingers in different pies.
And that's what I thought when I saw it.
There we go. That's exactly what you see, Matt's on the same wavelength. Right, we'll start with a little bit about... We always start with a little bit about how this has come about, because there is method to our madness when getting guests on this. I mean, we'll see where this takes us. Ask us again at episode 30. We'll have absolute randoms on it.
I thought you got to that stage now.
No.
We're not quite clutching at straws yet, Matt. It's good. So there is a little bit of method to the madness. Draper Tools, Meron. You know, why are we here? How are we here? Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? It's a bit all coincidental. We were talking about off camera, but where's the relationship come from?
I mean...
Well, do you want to go with it?
It was a bit like I've just sort of followed Draper around for a bit, to be fair. It's obviously we sort of sponsored Touring Car Side, and Draper were there. Mm-hmm. And then when we opened up the warehouse down near Southampton, we were in touch and speaking with Southampton Football Club, and at the same time was told that Draper were going to be on the back of the shirt. So I sent a quick email and said, I promise I'm not stalking, and...
Which she has been, by the way.
It's a have been, yeah.
Of course. Yeah. So Matt, it's a bit of we were talking about over there, and it's exactly what you said. Tom, you can't stop following you around. No, you didn't really.
No, we the Accelerate we've been involved in since 2019, and you know, just by the nature of what we do, you know, we produce tools and very much automotive type tools. So the link works very well. It was a new team then.
Yeah.
And we're really pleased to be part of it. It went for a difficult spell with COVID, as you can imagine. So we just signed a new contract for this season. So it's a nice association to have, absolutely, for the brand. There's some really good brands involved with Accelerate as well. Yeah. And then would have been last season, we were talking to Southampton Football Club about two options. The ladies team, being a sponsor or partner with them, and then the Southampton Football Club, the men's did get relegated, which opens up other opportunities. Fan as well. Which opens other opportunities. So the opportunity came in to become a partner again at Southampton Football Club for men and women, and which we did. And for people that don't know, we've got quite a long history with Southampton Football Club. In the 80s, we were the main sponsor on the front of the shirts. So that association has always been there, and to get actually back on the shirt again, we were so pleased, and it's been really, really good. Actually, the coverage we initially got, the ongoing feedback, and being on the shirt every week, win or lose, and just that general feel about it, we're really pleased with it.
Yeah, indeed, and there's a good feeling around the club, isn't it? We were lucky enough to be joined by Charlie on our last episode 3, for those on YouTube and Spotify or wherever you're listening to. Go listen to episode 3 as well after you listen to this one. There's a really good feeling around the club, and I think that obviously getting relegated. I do as I said, I've got a fan here as well as a commercial partner of Southampton Football Club, so it must be sort of that sort of catch-22 or that mixed feelings or mixed emotion. But it does open up opportunities that might not have been available. Let's be realistic. If still in the Premier League,
commercially, I think there's different. There's the Premier League price file, and there's the Championship price file. Let's be honest.
Of course.
By the way, I was felt a bit dodgy on Sunday after that loss to Millwall, but we'll get through that. And shame this wasn't a couple of weeks ago when we were still 25 games unbeaten. But exactly. But saying that, we've discussed it earlier on. When you're in the Premier League, when we were in the Premier League, and it was a difficult couple of seasons where you were generally losing more than you were winning, and it was quite evident we were potentially going to go down last year to be in a league now where we're winning more than we're losing. It's just a real nice vibe around the club. And you're right, as a fan, but also as a partner, it's good to be involved in.
Yeah, indeed it is. And when we were lucky enough to actually go to Southampton recently, we did a little bit of work with them, which was great. But Draper Tools, literally steeped in Southampton history. You got Alan Shearer and Matt Sheen on the walls with Draper Tools across the front. Yeah. Nothing better, right? So it must be a very cool thing to be part of. Let's talk a little bit about your background, if you don't mind. Actually, a little bit about what you're up to actually at Draper. We were just talking about Draper Tools, a year and a bit, but also, if we go way back, you were Draper Tools then as well.
I was, yeah. It's been a full circle. So, about nearly 30 years ago now, I remember I was at home. Said to my dad, I was working part-time in the local co-op, Saturday morning job, and I said I want to get a full-time job. And back then you used to open the Daily Echo up, and there was the job adverts in the Echo, and there was one for customer services, Draper Tools Limited. I rang them up and they said, can you come in Friday? And I said, yeah. And I went in there, and I remember one of my teachers at school said, look, when you go for an interview, take something in that you've done. Take something that you've achieved. And I said, okay. And I produced a little alarm system, because I was quite hands-on at college. And I took it for this interview. Bear in mind, I was a customer service role. It had nothing to do with the actual job, but I thought I'd take it anyway. And I did the interview, and my dad waited for me in the car park outside in the car. Got in the car again, said, how'd you get on? I said, I think I did okay, I think. And they called me on the Monday, said, we'd like to offer you the role. And a little while later, one of the interviewees, Richard, he said to me, he came in, he said, he had a very smart suit, shirt and tie on, which I borrowed from my father. It wasn't even mine. And
I've done that one.
And he said, didn't have a clue what you were talking about, but we were so impressed with your passion and desire. We said, we've got to give him the job. And that was all those years later. And he still talks about that now. He brings it up the most, because he's one of our customers now. And he brings it up most times at dinner or conferences when about my job interview. But that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Worked for the company then. And one thing about Draper Tools, it's Draper branded tools, but also they're a very well-known importer as well. So they import other brands.
Right.
And we imported a brand called Metabo, which is a German power tool manufacturer, very niche, very high quality. And in the late 90s, Metabo Germany, which they're based, made a decision to come away from importers and to set up subsidiaries. And they approached me to go with the move, which I did. And and I was there for a number of years. Once again, different roles, relocated to the northern part of the country, was an area sales manager, and so worked for them. And then Bosch Power Tools and Accessories contacted me, said, we'd like to talk to you. Bosch is a great business, great employer as well. And I joined them and spent 7 years with them. I had a great time there. I think I really, probably out of all the the roles I've had to redevelop there. And then out of the blue again, Mitabo contacted me and said, look, we're looking for a new managing director. Would you be of interest? And I went back there. 7 years again. There's a bit of a trend here. And then literally the summer of 2022, Draper contacted me and said, can we have a chat? We'd like to talk to you about coming in as CEO. So I've only worked for 3 companies, but 2 of them twice.
Yeah.
So I've remained in the tool business.
So it's about a year and a bit you've been there. So if you get the 7-year itch, we've got another 6 years that you're at Draper.
No, I hope not. I mean, it's just like that.
I wasn't going to say it.
I know. It's just
I've got to. It's my job.
It's just the way it happened. But
of course.
I think being back at Draper, it is a family-owned business.
Yeah.
Recently, I've been involved with private equity ownership, and is a different dynamic. And I think at my stage in my career, to come into that new culture was the timing was perfect for me. Great opportunity, and I really enjoy working for that family dynamic. I mean, Draper Tools is still 100% family owned. And it's challenging, don't get me wrong, I think everywhere's challenging, but it's a we sit in a room, we have very difficult discussions, very opportunity discussions, but we all know what we're talking about is realistic and what we can and can't achieve, really.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. I think obviously you think. I mean, I was actually doing my research, obviously in preparation for this, but the steeped in history and that family sort of business. It's clear, and I keep that message, that's still family owned, and I didn't realise that at all. And funny enough, we're talking to people here who work in family business. We got you really keen, Maron really keen to sort of get that message across, and Draper's still really keen to make sure that is a key part of their communication, right? No matter how big you get, and I think we were saying when you went back, you were like, wow, this has changed. This has evolved over the years, but still family owned and still very much part of that small family unit, but on such a big scale. It must be quite rewarding, I guess.
Absolutely. I think so. We're looking at we're 4th generation now, and it has, like I said, it has been and still is completely family owned. I think there's a couple of key things there. Is their commitment to the business,
right?
We've got a new state-of-the-art warehouse that went fully operational in December. That is an investment for the future by the family. They don't generally build for now, but they build for the next step, the next chapter. And for me, to have that commitment is quite reassuring. We've got a lot of long-term challenges to deal with and short-term commitments, but you can see a long-term plan there. And we've got a strategy in place now. We've got a 5-year plan which we aspire to achieve, and it's, I think what they're keen on is we as employees of Draper are custodians of the brand, the company, and they entrust us to run their business in a fashion that is deemed suitable.
That's exactly, and it is so much about trust. We spoke about this before, but 100%. When you've got a family-run business, I mean, you're doing it, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive.
How hard is it? How hard is it to get big and still maintain that trust? And
that's it. It's exactly that. And if you actually look at the Draper story and did some research into it, and people actually look at it, it's so impressive how that's evolved into what it is today.
Yeah,
and still keep the ethos of a family company, which is something that a company like Maron, for example, can look at, and myself especially looks at and goes, wow, that can be done. And it's just making sure you take the steps and make sure that you do it in the right way.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of companies can look at.
Yeah.
And go, don't get me wrong, I'm sure if you actually spoke to the generations over the years, there would be angles where they've gone, actually that's a wrong direction, but it's how you actually react to that to then get it back on where you want to go. And as we were talking about with Charlie as well, within the football club, if everyone buys into the same direction and buys into what the plan is, you're on the right road to success, right? So everyone and all the employees at Maron, if you all buy into that right direction of where you want to go, then you're on the right track. You're starting in the right place,
Absolutely, and I think you quite with a family business, you could flip it. You've got to control the desire as well, because there's a lot of ideas flying around and many ideas at the same time. And I think that's really a real good point you made there, Tommy, because to get people to buy into that long-term strategy, there will be an element. We've got a lot of people at Draper who've been there many, many years. There's a good retention rate. But we've also got a lot of new people as well. So we've got a good blend there. And chances are we have tried something in the past and it didn't work. Doesn't mean you don't try it again, but what you try and do is you try and learn from that. What happened.
Yeah.
I mean, chances are a lot of those ideas were many years ago, but why did it not work? What could we do differently? And I think if you can communicate that with your staff in the proper way, that they can buy into it and understand what you're trying to do, I think that's the key thing as well.
How hard is it though? I mean, we talk about 300 employees roughly, yeah?
About that,
how many employees have you got?
14.
14. So how hard is it ensuring that each employee that sort of joins the company, if you're getting up to sort of levels of 300, actually care? You know what I mean? Like, let's face it, we you're not always going to employ the absolute perfect employee every single time, but having a healthy sort of turnover rate is key to building any business, especially a family-run one. So how is that even? What's the secret?
It's quite
what's
interesting.
the secret to getting people to care?
It works both ways. I think it's sometimes harder, maybe in my position, to employ somebody because there's only 14 of us. If you bring someone in who's putting under brackets of a bad egg as such, it can very fast move around the office and have that impact extremely quickly. Maybe less so if you've got 300 employees, but at the same time, it's harder then to actually notice that bad egg in 300 employees to then go, no, actually that's not working. And then you're relying on the management system to be able to feed that back to whoever needs to be fed back to make decisions and move forward. I think it's very
I wonder if there's like a tipping point of where you get to, okay, we're at 50, we're at 80, we're at 100, and it's like, okay, we got to have some really big processes.
I'm scared of 14.
Right. So then we've got a CEO here that's got 300. Tell us, Matt, how that's sort of managed, just trusting people around you.
Depends how busy your HR department is. I think this. Let's be fair. When you're employing that number of people, there are different levels within the business they come in at.
Of course.
The onboarding is very important. How you onboard the people when they join. I think my experience is when you look for key roles in a business, and I think this is I can only really talk about the senior sales structure we have and how we manage that and the type of person you bring in. There's key things. Can they work with me? Can they work for me? Can they work with the team? And I think Tom made a great point there. Just one bad egg, one bit of toxic environment can really, really grow. But we onboard very well. We communicate very well. I mean, we did a big project last year of moving 100-ish people from their daily role at Hursley Road, our previous warehouse. And a lot of them have been there 20, 30 years. They've been coming to work doing the same routine every day, and all of a sudden we're asking them to finish on the Friday and start at the new warehouse on the Monday, which in our eyes is what it is, but in their eyes this is like a new job.
Of course.
Starting a new job. And our HR team and our senior management really worked hard on that process to make it as smooth as possible. And I think apart from one or two, we actually retained all the staff. Then that was in December.
Wow.
And I think it's all down to communication. If you communicate properly, good and bad, if business is going well, if it's not going so well, if you can be quite clear, it reduces the surprises, but also people start to understand why we're trying to do certain things as well.
Yeah, I think, like you say, there's gone are the days, I think, of when we're younger, where you just attending to a job now. So you're just going to a job. There's a lot of expectation on an employer, especially like a name like Draper Tools, who've been around for so long. You see them on the front of a Southampton shirt back in the day, or someone like Alan Shearer, you just automatically think huge company. Therefore, people going in not only should have the attitude of, working for a good company, it's going to be great for me, but also they have a certain expectation of you as an employer. So all of a sudden you've got the pressure of like, we're hiring this person, but we automatically, if we're taking the punt on hiring this person, we have a duty of care that's now got to be unrivaled to compared to back in the day, right? Back in the day where you just loyalty and people sort of stay with loyalty, they got a job, they get their paycheck and they go. But now there's a whole host of, they really need you to care for them almost. There's quite a lot of pressure on a company like yourselves, right?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of work this year in evaluating that, because we are, we're very well established. We need to be a modern employer as well, and we're looking at things like the mission statement.
Yeah.
And what is our values? What is our core beliefs within the company? And we're refreshing that at the moment, because a lot has changed in Draper Tools over the last year in particular. A lot of the senior management has changed, including myself. The world had COVID to deal with. That was a very interesting part of Draper's history. Everyone went tool crazy during COVID, so the market really boomed. And I think to adapt since then, things aren't quite the same as they were before COVID. A lot of habits have changed. We do a lot of discussions about hybrid working.
Yeah,
it takes up a lot of conversation piece. Obviously, guys in the warehouse can't hybrid.
No, they can't.
They need them in the warehouse, but certainly when it comes to the office roles, so a lot of the dynamics have changed. But when you're offering things like hybrid working, your competition for employment really opens up geographically a lot larger, because that ability not to have to be in the office every day.
Yeah, massively.
So we've got guys working for us now who in the office who don't live on the doorstep but live in Somerset or parts of Kent and places like that. So it has changed quite a bit.
Yeah,
it gives quite an opportunity as well, though. It
does, yeah.
Like when we're talking about getting the right people in, I suppose when you have that option, in our office, obviously being small anyway, the industry that we're in is a little bit harder for how we work to do it. But I suppose it must actually be able to open up that and go, okay, we can really get who we want here, and it's. Do you know what I mean? As in, you just have such more options when it comes to that because of it. Interesting.
We were talking about obviously the evolution of a company like Draper and obviously Meron as you go on, and talking about we were talking about it before the camera started rolling, and sort of taking it into the next level. So where do you push it? Content, social media, podcasts.
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff. I mean, you've got an established brand like Draper. Is there people that come in and possibly have, absolute adventurous sort of ideas? I want to take it here. We want to do it here. We need to move with the times. We need to be on this platform, that platform, that platform. But then you're also dealing with a company steeped in history, got a family name. So there's a lot of ideas, as you said, thrown around. I mean, how do you sort of take it into that next level?
You just made a great point. It's we are very traditional still.
Right.
In our industry, the catalogue still exists heavily. The big thick catalogue,
I've got one right in the back of my car.
Have you got one?
The print, the demand on print is still there.
Right.
But we have to have an understanding that the market is changing, and it's having that balance. And we discuss this a lot at Draper.
Yeah.
For me, I'm very much a believer in how we communicate on e-commerce, how the brand looks online, social media activity, 100%.
Yeah.
But also, we need to be mindful that catalogue, that print is still there. It will go slowly over a period of time, but it's still quite established in the tool trade, and you be very, very careful how many ideas and how fast thinking you need to try and not be, because if you try and do too much too quickly, it's like it can break very quickly.
Right.
And I think we've got a good team in marketing now and creative. We produce all our own content. Everything you see produced by Draper is produced in-house. We have our own photography team, so we control what we do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're very balanced in what we can do at any point.
Right.
Otherwise, you can start running away with it, and
it can snowball. Can't it?
Absolutely, 100%.
Suddenly, someone's abseiling down the side of the new warehouse. It's a great social content base.
But
we sent that drone in,
But that's it. You've got obviously a bit of a brand to protect, but it is one of those things. You've got to find a balance, and the responsibility of finding that balance is something that we don't. We run our own sort of marketing and content agency, and we're in our first year, so we can kind of take it where we want, because we were sort of born last year, but a company that was born all those years ago, like you say, have a tradition, and also have a customer base that are reliant upon those catalogues, that tradition, that almost sort of warm blanket that they feel when they're dealing with Draper. But then you also got a new age sort of customer who want to be compared to perhaps some of the other people who have come onto into the market and hit TikTok by storm, kind of thing. You want to hit that sort of thing. So it is. Yeah, I don't envy you, to be fair.
Well, we've got a great senior team
right
at the company, and I have to say this, that and they take a lot of responsibility, and they are. I have full faith in them, and I know some of the stuff we would love to do. We're all excited about it, but we have to focus on what we're doing at the moment as well. Just getting that balance. But yeah, I mean, TikTok, crikey. I mean, I'm a big believer in Instagram and Facebook. Maybe I'm old-fashioned now.
Instagram's one I can deal with. Anything else, I'm a bit like.
It's when your mates' kids look. Yeah, it's when your mates' kids look at you. It's when you mention Facebook, they think you're right, old man.
That is the thing, isn't it? How Facebook and Instagram is now old hat, and then also TikTok is like, what? You're not on TikTok? Are you on TikTok, Tommy?
Yeah, I am, but Instagram's where I'd use mainly. I'm not on Facebook. Just not for me. It's when it was simple, when it was original. Yeah, it was really easy. Add a friend, have a chat. That was about it. Now it's just a whole new world of what can be done. I just can't get my head around it all.
You don't see your friends anymore on Facebook. That's the thing. No. If you go on Facebook, it's like I just see ads.
Mm-hmm.
If I look at a football video, I'll just see more football videos. So it's just like that's
100%. But yeah, I mean, TikTok's an interesting one. Like, obviously, it's booming at the minute, and that's what we're doing, bits and bobs on it. Of course. And it is amazing what does catch and what doesn't, and it's really interesting how that effect has it. But from our point of view, there's not many freight forwarding companies as such that are doing a podcast that are doing what we're trying to go down the route of doing. I just want to do something a little bit different and build up the trust factor as well of actually knowing who I am. Obviously taking over the company over the last couple of years, it's going, okay, let's just get myself out there, different things, get the staff involved with TikToks, and just going, right, okay, this is who you're dealing with, this is who you speak to. Not asking to do anything silly and crazy, but at the same time have a bit of fun with it, because we can here, which is quite nice, and the staff do, some of them don't mind getting involved. The warehouse guys are great, they'll do a bit of fun.
It's finding your
angle. And behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Jumps in a box and
we get some actors in every now and then.
I think it's really important. It's finding your angle and finding what suits what you're trying to do, and by all means look at what your competition are doing, take examples, and see best practices. I joke that some of my best ideas weren't mine. It's trying to get some best practices out there, and I think with Draper we are still on that journey, still trying to find where we are on our social media presence. I think we've jumped forward so much in the last 6 months in particular. And it's so you talk when you talk to the Draper user, and this is we all talk about this internally. A lot of the older tradesmen, professionals, mechanics, they know Draper very well. They will have a Draper product. We call it the pub test. If you go into a pub and talk about tools, generally people will know about Draper. Which is great, but it's the new younger generation. It's that 18 to 25-year-old apprenticeships or tradesmen coming in, buying their first set of tools. They're the ones who are on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook. They're not picking up our catalogues. 100%. They're watching a guy drill a hole or cut a bit of wood, think, I like that, and then follow the URL. Next one, they're on your website, and they're buying your tool because some influencer or some random guy was seen using it. And that's the future.
100%. I mean, one of our clients in the construction industry, they use TikTok to promote their apprenticeship, and they just put a little TikTok up. People doing the work on site, people doing the work in theory and in practice in the training school, etc. And then they put link below, apply for the apprenticeship. They were oversubscribed for the apprenticeship just through one TikTok that went out to 50,000 people. Now 50,000 is not huge on TikTok. No. It's still good numbers, but it's not huge. But they were oversubscribed from their apprenticeship, and they couldn't take any more just from that TikTok.
So the return on investment would be phenomenal.
Exactly, and it was a bit of organic content. There was no paid stuff there. So that is just something working. Well, why don't we put that out there younger audience, and all of a sudden it's just taken off. We put something up for the same company up on Facebook, and it had a very similar response, but just because the people looking to get into work, and now they've tapped into okay, so if we put something apprenticeship led around on that site, because 18 to it just gives them a career in London doing that sort of thing. But it just makes companies sort of their ears prick up because they just hear the numbers. I sent out a report yesterday. What were we counting? Was it 7 million that we had? 7 million over the last year and a half on a B2B finance lender. Octane, who have been on like Porsche and stuff. They do lots of different stuff, but then we just hit their TikTok. They're messing about doing some office stuff, and then we have 7 million views, and then some of them hit 2,000, then boom, you have a 2.1 million. You're like, what the hell's going on?
Imagine each one of them bought a tool.
Yes,
well, this time next year.
Well, that is the thing, and the beauty about content as well now with companies is what we've been seeing is that if you've got an idea and you think it's good, and enough for you, senior management or whoever the case may be, if you've got 14 employees or 300, and there's enough for you to think, I think that's quite a good idea. It's just go do it, get it done, get it up. The chances are, in a year's time, you'll look back at that content and go, I don't really like that content anymore. But it's there, it's done, it's forgotten about, because the next bit of content will be replacing it, and it will just go and go and go. It's like kind of never ending. It's a little bit overwhelming when you think about it. But if you just deal with like, what have we always said? We always said like, if you like a bit of content, just get it up, do it, and then move on to the next one. And then, providing it's not really unprofessional and it puts you in a bad light, of course. Yeah. But at the same time, that is the way things are going, and it's daunting in a way, because then everyone's going to have right, okay, what are we doing over here in this content piece? I mean, the marketing manager's role all of a sudden has just evolved humongously.
It is, and I think it's going to be broken up even more. That, when you say the word marketing, it's just not marketing anymore.
It's not, is it?
It's you got e-commerce marketing, you've got traditional trade, you've got product marketing, and we are channeling and categorising that within our marketing team. We haven't got tens and hundreds of people. We've got a team who I believe are very efficient, but they are responsible for certain sectors of marketing now. And I'll throw in our creative team. They're the ones who produce the packaging, the way the content looks as well, and they all have their channel approach. And I do laugh when I sit with customers. They talk about marketing. They do a lot of marketing. What do they do?
Oh no!
Tell me what bit of marketing
it's
they do.
Just gone like that.
And it's like very difficult to quantify. And when you talk about competition, they did this for marketing. What though? But we're quite clear, and I think as we grow the business in turnover, but also in following and as we raise the brand, those channels have been even more clearer going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a whole podcast in itself. The word marketing. What does it even mean anymore?
That could be the title, wouldn't it? Marketing. What does it mean?
What does marketing?
I'll be busy for that day.
We'll get you back on for that one.
Me too. So just for you talking about it.
It's just had 10 CEOs around the corner. Not one of them could give a definitive answer. But no, it is.
But joke aside, though, I think you have to have that channel, that category approach to justify investment.
Right.
So back in the day, we need this amount of money to spend on marketing. What that entails, who knows?
No.
But now when you say we need this to promote this social media channel, we need this to raise our, Google ads, we need this for print. You can really quantify what you're investing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because otherwise.
And this team will sponsor this football team as well. Things like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and on that brings us nicely. Let's talk about the partnerships that you both sort of have in place. Obviously we spoke about it briefly at the start and how this has come about, but we're in motorsport, the British Touring Car Championship, and also with Southampton. I mean, this is the beauty about today's day and age as well. There isn't such a thing really anymore as you put a sign somewhere and then, fingers crossed that gets it. And you're based on feeling. There was a lot of stuff based on feeling. Oh, I get the feeling that that's going to be seen by a lot of people, and I get the feeling that that's going to bring us this much business. I'm probably going to make my money back on it. Yeah. Maybe make a bit more money on it. But now, no one needs that. Everyone wants how much have I made from that? And I should get some data from how many people clicked on that link and how much it's gone. They've got QR codes, for example, on signs now and everything. So going into a partnership with that, I mean, we might have two very, very different ethoses on that, but how do you quantify what you're getting from it?
Go for it.
What a question.
Well, I think it goes back to what it was once again. So with the Southampton, I'll talk about the Southampton one first of all.
Yeah, go on,
because you do get data, you do get stats on that, and there's some really interesting data. So, albeit we're on the shirt, but we're also around the ground. So we're on the LED boards, we're in the match program, we're quite featured quite heavily around the ground, which is fantastic. So you get data based on which bit you're on, and we get it quarterly. And it's very interesting that the shirt is a big one, for obvious reasons. But you get your TV coverage clips of when the boards show your brand when someone's scoring a goal or whatever. When it's and you actually get that, so you can quantify it, and they just say, right, if you advertise this on TV, this is what it would have cost you. So we do get that. I think there is a punt involved as well. You're thinking, okay, there's Matt shirts out there with our logo on, and there's an element where you've just got to say this was a good thing to do. And I think similar with the motor racing as well. There's a lot of TV coverage on the motor racing, maybe more than what Southampton get.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, for example, you got tonight's game, Southampton, Liverpool's on.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one.
It's, but that's fantastic. Both brands are going to be there at Anfield. That's something that's amazing. That's
because a lot of Liverpoolians buying Draper Tools tomorrow.
That's it. Yeah.
We see an upturn in the Cheshire Merseyside area tomorrow. We know that branding's really worked.
Clearing containers out of Liverpool. I'll be happy if that works. And it's really interesting. It's really, like you said, it's very hard to quantify, put numbers against it. Like you say, we get the data. Southampton are very good at providing data and giving a real understanding of what the sort of investment is worth. But the amount of phone calls that we get from local businesses just saying they're season ticket holders and gone to the game, which you probably wouldn't see as in phone calls. You'd see it through sales. We'll see it through the odd phone call. Lots of suppliers. We're going lots of making relationships with local companies, which was actually one of our main goals out of it, which is fantastic for us.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's been, and that's actually a benefit again of going down to the Championship. As much as Southampton won't see it, for the actual partners within the club and the foundation and everything at Southampton, I think it's been a huge opportunity for people to be able to get their brands out there, especially the likes of us. It's something that's available in the Championship to us. In the Premier League's obviously a whole new kettle of fish, and I think that opportunity has been great for all partners, and I think Charlie saw that when we did the podcast. He was saying it's a huge opportunity for local businesses and for Southampton as a club to actually hug the local companies and really bring them in, as much as it's investment within the club. At the same time, they do make that 100% worthwhile because they work with you and have conversations, actually care about what you're trying to get out of it. The motorsport's very interesting because, like you say, there's lots of TV coverage, there's lots of people that are at the weekends walking around, and your brand's there consistently, right? It's really interesting. But to put numbers on it, it's very tough when it's to do with that.
Just one thing you said about the association, I didn't pick up on. We've recruited off the back of it as well. People have seen. We got one gentleman who's joined us in the sales force, and he is a Saints fan, and just that in the ground advertising pricked his mind. He's looking for a new career channel, and then on LinkedIn we put a salesman roll up, and it. I'm not saying being a partner of Saints made him come to us, but it put in the mindset.
100%. I think recruitment is a massive thing with any brand that's been elevated, because it does elevate your brand. I mean, that Maron stamp on the side of Southampton, and also we make the most of it, right? I mean, in terms of the socials, there's constant stuff going on,
and that's where you then as well can't actually quantify the numbers, because it could be off social posts, and it's how you react to your social media using that content as well. So as much as it's guys and girls ringing up because they were at the game at the weekend, or they've seen it on the LEDs, or they've seen it on TV, it's also in the social side and on the different TikTok channels, and even Southampton's own TikTok channels. And
Southampton are very good on social media.
It's so good.
Fantastic.
One platform we've not picked up is LinkedIn, and I think for our customers, when we announced that we're going to be a partner of Southampton again, it was a good statement to our customers. And let's be fair, we're a local company to Southampton as an association. We're not going on front of Man City or Arsenal or anything like that. But it's so there's an understanding there as well. But I think the feedback I got from our long-term customers and newer customers, they're like, it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think not only does it elevates the brand, but like nowadays, especially with Accelerate, and they've got that feeling with Southampton, is that when they've getting a partner on board, they don't just want the partner with the sticker and the thing. They might want to do that. It's up to their company if they want to. Yep. But they actually want the people that are going to be involved and actually go, oh, can we do this? Because the partnership can be, because it just gives them so much in the way of content. We were playing that game the other day on the Southampton on the app, etc. I mean, the way they do things, the way they involve you, if you're up for it as a business, you're like, look, we want to put our logo on the back of the shirt, but we also want to do something in terms of partnership. We want to put our logo on the car, but we actually want to get involved in a partnership. Can we do an event? Can we do we actually network? And that is a beauty. And I mean, I know how much in the paddock, the contacts that you've made throughout doing it, and all of a sudden business is being done as a result of the sponsorship. Not necessarily as a direct result of the logo on the shirt, as it were.
And again, that comes back to the content. It always seems to go back to the content that's been able to be created through it. Like you say, it's not just the sticker anymore. It's not just the print on the shirt. It comes down to, okay, what can we do? What interactions can we make in between? And that is where it's worth every penny, right? Have you seen the same sort of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the work starts after the sponsorships.
Exactly.
We all like you said, but and I think both Accelerate and Southampton we're communicating all the time with Charlie and his team at Southampton, with the Accelerate team, about what we can do more in the paddock. We offer some quality brands within our business. We have a brand called Bunker, which is a modular storage system, which is really geared up for automotive, and it's going to be in the motor. It's going to be part of Accelerate, so that's really good for us as well. So it's how we can enhance the brands with both partners. But yeah, it's how you can make that investment sweat over that period of time to get the most out of it.
This is a bit of a weird one. Have you got to like it, the actual sport? Is there someone in the is there someone in the senior management team at Itzar? I mean, we're talking about yourself, Tommy, 14 employees. We're talking about 300 employees at Draper. Have they actually got to be like, I just like my football, so I want to go on a shirt?
I think for us, we're all. I mean, the Draper family are all Saints fans.
Right, okay.
That helps. I'm a Saints fan. We've got a board member who's a Portsmouth fan, but he wasn't part of this conversation.
He remained nameless.
Get involved in the conversation.
I won't go into that. But
have you got to like your football?
I think it helps. I think it does help, and I'm more a football person than a motor racing person. I'm very open about that. Joe Draper, one of the owners, is an automotive freak. He just loves anything to do with cars and racing.
Gotcha.
So, I think when you look at the senior management, there's a interest in both sports. But also the most employees have an affiliation to one of those two types of sports. It does help.
Yeah, of course.
Tom and I like going to the games as well, which helps.
Of course. I mean, from your point of view, I mean, I know you like. I know you had a history in football and trying to be a goalkeeper.
Trying being the main word. But
we saw you on the last video of Southampton. You've still got it.
It was amazing.
I wouldn't say that, the clips I saw.
No. You get the ball back on the feet though, and you're like, oh, I just want to put the gloves back on. Now you see a goal, you see grass, you're like, it's like with an 8-year-old again, just running out, just going to kick a ball about.
But part of the partnership, we had a Southampton staff versus Draper staff the other week at Staplewood in the Dome.
Nice.
We definitely came a distant second on that one. It was quite funny because we said, well, next time we recruit, can we ask him how good they are at football? Just have to play a game.
You're really inside, because there's something that could potentially happening with you guys, right?
Yeah, I think we got something lined up to do something similar, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I've recruited. I'm recruiting just football players, just seeing who I can bring in.
We'll bring some players.
I'm allowed to, because we haven't got the staff to actually do it. So I'm like,
I can imagine you bring out a few ringers.
Try and make some phone calls.
I'm sure you played for the first team on Saturday.
We'll have Armstrong. Indeed. But going back to I mean, you got. I can see, obviously, we've spent some time at the paddock when I'm not rushing around with a camera, but I can see how much you enjoy the actual motor racing side of it. So it's got to tick all boxes, but obviously it's got to work for you commercially and it's got to make sense for you. But it helps, right? It helps if you enjoy it.
Definitely. I've said to people that are coming as salespeople into the company, within freight, for example, you can chase anything. Yeah, but it's a lot easier to start off chasing commodities that you actually enjoy as well, because when you go in for a sales meeting, you're passionate about it automatically because you like that product. Do you know what I mean? If you play golf, go chase golf brands, go chase, make them contacts within them industries, or you might already have contacts within them industries. Utilize what you know. But it's I always enjoy going to the racing, and obviously so much so that I'm doing it myself this year. But so it's I'm enjoying being part of that and seeing the contacts that can be made within it and the network inside, and it's a proud factor as well. You've got the Draper family. I'm proud to see that on the Saint shirt and the cars. It's that's something that you're really proud of. My dad, he's built this up from scratch from when he was 55. When he left his previous company, and then for him to see Maron on the bonnets, the screen headers, on the shirts at Southampton. It's proper emotional, and that's the benefit of the family business again.
When we announced to all the staff that we were going to be a partner of Southampton Football Club, bearing in mind Tom and Joe Draper, who were on the board with us, their grandfather Norman signed the original deal in the 80s to become sponsor, and it was you could see it in their faces. It was a big thing for them to do something a bit similar to what their grandfather did all those years ago, and it definitely was a real proud moment.
It's a pride, It's a.
And then we lost the first 3 games. I thought, what the hell have we done here? But
you had the same thing. I was like,
went to the first tune, going,
right. Going to a relegation battle. League One, but no, it's all turned around. Well, fingers crossed.
Again, I think that's another factor of having a family business as well. When you make these investments in something like Southampton Accelerate, it is about the passion and emotion that it brings to management level as such, especially who are making them deals as things. And it's not just a brand; it is part of the life. That's it. It does help.
That is, it does help liking it. There we go. Right, let's talk about a little bit. What, you got a family?
I have, yes.
Yeah, we're talking about young family, kids. Where are we?
I have a little girl, Hattie.
Right.
She's 7 years old.
7 years old. So you work
right in the thick of it.
Yeah. So right in the thick. But that's what I was saying. So I mean, you see the position, CEO, position of responsibility. You were in Scotland yesterday. You're down here with us today. You're all over the country. We've been really tapping into the balancing act. We touched on it with Charlie. We touched on it with a racing driver, and also Sam that we had on our first one. The balancing act of having that title. Sleep in History. You're a busy man. And we're disturbing you by talking about fingers in pies and stuff like that. So apologies. It's like it's coming out your holiday today.
Don't joke. No, I'm kidding.
It's all right. The Draper staff on LinkedIn are sort of liking the post and going, looking forward to listening to this one.
Tommy, you owe him.
There's going to be a surge in Chandler's Ford viewers.
Tommy, you owe him a beer, definitely. Right. Okay. So let's talk about the balancing act. We got family. I've got a young family. So have you. Let's talk about your sort of thing. How do you do it?
I think listen, I think things are different now. Now I've got a little girl. I'm married. When I was not married and didn't have a little girl, you were less committed in your diary. I used to travel more anyway by nature of my role. So I do travel slightly less than I do before. I think post-COVID we travel less anyway, so teams weren't really a thing pre-COVID. So a lot of meetings we can handle online, which got to have a balancing act. You shouldn't. Yesterday I was in Inverness, with a customer discussing business face to face. You can't let that go. That's really, really important, and I think we should be doing more of that. But it's a balance. We balance our lives quite well. It's it's handy to have our head office 10 minutes away from my house. That's easier. If our head office was in Yorkshire or London, even it would be a different situation.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is what we're talking about: recruitment and getting the right people in. obviously we have moving parts all over the place. Yourself as well, Tommy. Like, you get the right people in at the time of their lives, and I think you mentioned earlier, it's like it came at a really good time, the role and everything like that. So all of a sudden, something comes in, like a daughter or a son, and all of a sudden you're like, priorities are slightly changing, and also you've got to stay really close to your staff and really close to your senior management team and know what's going on in their lives. Another duty that you guys have to sort of manage, and I'll have to do as well. But yeah, it's kind of, I'm looking towards you guys, so when you have kids, etc. We've got a couple of young ones at the moment. So yeah, I mean, all of a sudden your priorities change, and all of a sudden your career is going to be moulded around obviously your family as well, right? So it must be quite hard. It
can. I think it depends what's going on at work,
right?
If it's tough at work at the time, for whatever reason, it's up to you to manage your mind and manage what you bring home.
Yeah,
and that could be difficult. If you've had a bad day at work. Or flipping, if you had a great day at work, you might come home and Aaron Dawes, the missus had a right bad day. So you've gone from brilliant, we've got this fantastic order, we've done this deal, we're like, well, you wouldn't believe what the dog did. So you've got to, you've got to have that balance. But I think, I'm much more experienced than I was a while ago, and I do have the ability to switch off and switch on, and it is difficult. And so when I go through that front door and my little girl's there and my wife and it's important for me to, even though the back of my mind's still racing away about work, it's important to say, right, not have that sort of going into home. Now, it's important, I do tell my wife, things that have gone on at work and how the day's been, but she don't know the complete detail of the margin analysis I did on this spreadsheet. She's not really, but she understands it's important, but she doesn't know the full detail of it. So, but it is difficult to switch off.
Yeah,
you've got to really train yourself to do it.
And that's what we've talked about, the switching off. I think that is that's a common theme that we've spoken about in the previous ones, isn't it?
I think everyone has everyone we've spoken to, be it Charlie at Southampton, be it Tom Ingram racing, it's having that ability and learning that ability to do that. And that's something I'm in the process of learning, but it isn't something that I'm 100% happy with myself, and like you say, when you go home and you have the conversation, probably not an in-depth one, but it works both ways. You're like a vent for each other, aren't you? Right? Like, that's how you use it. But once that's gone, you go, right, that's done, right, what are we doing this evening? What we having?
Well, my wife just says you're boring me.
Exactly. That's a sign that you're going to stop.
Yeah, that's the cut off the air now.
She probably gives you 10 minutes. If you go to 20 minutes, it's all right, stop it now.
If I know I'm going too deep into conversation when my wife turns around and goes, it's just going over my head now.
Yeah.
And that's the similar sort of vibe of you're boring me. I don't know.
It's pretty honest. Yeah. But it is a challenge. I think what I tend to do is now you have busier weeks than others, right? There's always like the week coming up, it seems, that you think, oh my God, how am I actually going to fit that all in? So pre-planning is just essential, right? I mean, I've learned it the hard way when I've not planned and then something will creep up on me. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to kind of do that. So, I mean, how much comes into once you have a child and a family, and all of a sudden that sort of dynamic changes, how much all of a sudden are you like, right, delegation and leaning on other people and planning when you're going to be busy and planning, and how much do you have to involve your missus in that and be like, look, this week is an absolute nightmare, I'm going to tell you now that mid-April is an absolute nightmare. Like, how much
we just had that conversation actually. We have what's called the Family Planner app,
right?
Which and I'm sat there and my phone keeps pinging like my wife's putting in entries into the Family Planner, and I probably do the same with her as well,
followed by a text message.
Are
you sure?
That's not allowed.
But no, I mean, for example, I'm off to Shanghai in April for a week, so I let my wife know about that like a few weeks ago. So and I think it's important because it's to be away for that period of time. When you got and to look after my little girl whilst I'm not there, it's not easy.
Of course.
And I think planning is sowing the seed early, and I do have a tendency to sometimes drop it in there as well. Then, by the way, this week I'm away for 3 days. Now, sometimes that's out of your control.
Yeah, of course.
And you're reacting to a situation. But I think now we're we're pretty good on that planning side. I'll be honest with you, most of our family app is Hattie's related stuff anyway.
Yeah, when you have youngsters, your kind of life revolves around what they're doing, because you're either driving them, moving them around, taking them, and you're working between you to actually organise it, like you say. I had it yesterday with Tilly and go-karting, so it was about going, okay, I need to leave at this point to be able to make it there, because it's quite a way away. And just fitting everything around that. I'm off to Phuket in the end of April, and
that is working, is it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, right.
It is. Yeah, I got network.
At least I get away with Shanghai. It sounds a bit like work.
I know. Yeah, freight networks generally.
Freight network conference in Phuket.
It is. It's always in Thailand. Always crazy. Even though it's, I was like, that's the first thing in the diary, and then matched up with my race weekends and testing, and then different meetings of being away. Luckily, I don't have too much apart from the networks for it, but yeah, doing things like the podcast and stuff. If we're driving around doing things. So.
But this is it. I think. I don't think we found someone that's got. Right, guys, you're doing it all wrong. I've got the absolute blanket rule that works for everyone.
They're lying.
Exactly that. They're lying. Everyone is so different, isn't it? And every situation is unique. Whether that's your hobbies, whether that's your family, whether that's everyone's set up slightly different. It's finding what works for you. And it's the app's a great idea when you have multiple people and you just put your own entries in, and suddenly you're going, okay, we got a busy few months coming up, or weekends and everything. So Southampton games was generally one.
Yeah, well, they're in there. And it's quite funny, because I mean, for every it's quite. It's mainly it's an awareness app that just let you be aware that this is gonna. And then I feel quite proud when one of my things are cancelled, and I'm going to take it out the app.
Delete.
Yeah, and it's like, but yeah, it's fun, and I think it's quite funny, because when we came back from the Christmas break, everyone said, "Do you have a nice relaxing break?" No, not really. It was probably more full on than it is at work.
That's it.
But you sent me a message, I hope you had a chilled Christmas, and I was like, no, not really.
No chance. So go back to my desk for a bit of peace and quiet.
But I wouldn't change it for the world. It's she's our little best mate.
Yeah,
she's so funny. I joke that in my career I've worked for the Drapers. I worked for the Germans. I've worked for another senior, and they've got nothing on my doorstep when it comes to management and directness.
That's the one. They will not hold back. I think I had my. Obviously, we've got a race season coming up, and you think they'll be used to it by now. I think I've worked in that paddock for the last 5 years or whatever, and then got a race season coming up. And my daughter, she's now 12 now, so I'm getting almost teenage sort of tantrums now. And then she sort of said, "I hate racing, just to let you know," and just walked off. And I was like,
"At least she's honest."
I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, that's a good thing, because she obviously still likes having me around at the moment, so soon it will be like, no, go on, you go do what you want, I'll look forward to you being away." So that's a good thing. In terms of that, in terms of switching off and having a family and stuff, does it help when you're in that senior role, when you've got a family? Because obviously when you're employing people directly under you, does it make you be a little bit more understanding and a nicer kind of boss? I mean, is that the thing? Because you're going to employ people that have families or going to grow families, and all of a sudden you're able to be a little bit more empathetic. I mean, we spoke about always being away before you'd also always been a certain kind of person. Does it change you as, I guess, an employer, as it were?
I think you can relate to things more.
Yeah.
It's so many years ago, one of my bosses said, his problems arrive on a Monday morning, and they generally go home at tea time on a Friday. And I think the point he was trying to make is you can't not control, but you can't be, you can't account for what can happen outside of work. So when someone comes in, there's a relationship problem, or something's happened, there's been a serious incident, you've got to, you especially now I've got a young family. Yeah, you think, gosh, what happens if that happened to us? Or you do have that empathy, but at the same time, you can be a bit like, well, we've gone through that, or which you shouldn't do really. But it's definitely you have an understanding, especially when the family's involved, when young kids are involved, and you sort of step away and think, well, how would we feel in that situation?
Yeah, and it's got to be. I mean, you've got 14 on board.
Yeah.
Absences are going to play a bigger part than a bigger company. I mean, but it must, we've got a family, etc.
Yeah, it's it definitely, the understanding part comes in, like you say, when you understand if kids are going through, whether even I say simple because it's really painful for them, teething.
Yeah.
When they're that young, going through the teething stage, and you're getting 1 hour's sleep, and the kid's been out all night and starts walking in, and you're like, you're right, you're awake, and you go, it's just teeth, going through teeth, and you're like, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, being such a small, we actually had it recently. We got because we're very family based, actually families within the company as well. And there's a couple, and they got ill through their daughter having to be taken to the doctor, and then they got the illness as well. So they were both off, and then it's just balancing that and making sure that and also being in an office, if someone comes in and they're not feeling great,
send them home.
Go home, because at the end of the day you end up with one person sitting there going, can I have a bit of help, please? And everyone's at home going, I can't do anything. So it is trying to, again, it's balance in a different way, right?
We're quite clear. I mean, we all work hard, but we all, family comes first.
Yeah.
So we will, within reason, but we will support. We will support people where possible. And that's quite a clear directive of the company as well.
The benefit of having a family-based business, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but obviously they're very corporate, and it's a very much, these are the rules, and this is what happens, and this is how it works. There is that understanding at the same time, being family businesses, and like to take that as a big positive as how the businesses are run.
There we go. How long will we be going, gents?
It's 1 hour and 1 minute.
There we go. The time flies, doesn't it?
It does when you're having fun, man.
We'll before we sort of wrap up, I don't want to date our podcast too much, but predictions for tonight as to Southampton. I mean, you're going to go turn Liverpool over. They've just done. I'm going to set the scene. I'm going to be really positive here, and we'll see what your reply is.
Yep.
They've just had 120 minutes at Wembley with Chelsea. They're depleted. They've got Jota out, Salah out, Curtis Jones out, everyone's out, Nunez is out. They're not going to be. They're going for the league. They're still in Europe. Yep. So
3-1 Saints.
3-1 Saints. I thought you were going to go 5-0 Liverpool.
3-1 Saints, and if Joe Aribo's starting, he's the first goal scorer. He said it here.
No, Matt's bet.
Yeah, get your betting apps out. Have we got that here? There we go. We got that.
That's my heart. My brain says.
Yeah, I think I've got a feeling for a 2-2 draw.
Yeah,
bring him back down here.
Be nice.
Oh, look at you two.
Get a few people after tickets for that one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, phones will be going.
I'm seeing the replay going in the planner right now.
Family app.
Cancel Shanghai.
That's it, yeah. You'll be like, hold on. Liverpool weren't in the calendar. So, yeah, but it was a replay.
From the players' point of view, that's a massive opportunity. Like you say, there are players out. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool played a lot of youngsters and looked very good at the weekend.
They will fancy tonight.
But actually, the way that Russell Martin's actually wanting to play as well, it's a good opportunity to go, right, this is how, let's go do our thing, let's play how we want to play.
Let's get past the first 20 minutes first, and then
I'm telling you, there's never been a better opportunity surely to play Liverpool at Anfield. I say that now. We'll see how we get on. And also the question we've not asked, what's your favourite pie?
My favourite pie?
I want a sweet and savoury option.
Meat and potato. Savoury.
Okay.
A sweet pie. I don't really like sweet pie. Maybe apple crumble. Was that a pie?
We'll go with it. I think I said
crumble.
Treacle tart. I think I said first.
Yeah, we got
first episode. I think I got a bit flustered and just
got for tarts and crumbles.
What are they there?
That is an apple pie.
That'll do.
Apple pie.
Yeah, is that
that's
right?
it. And pork pies. Yeah.
Not a sweet pie. Kind of.
No.
Maybe I'm doing some injustice. A bit of custard. Yeah, I could get away with a sweet pie.
An apple pie.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just gone from Southampton versus Liverpool to what's your favourite pie?
Now I'm hungry.
Well, lucky enough, we've got an array of fairly standard pies in front of us.
Very beige place, isn't it?
Beige.
Yeah.
It costs about £2 in there. There we go. There we go. I think that is pretty much it. Thank you very much, Matt, for being part of the Fingers and Pies podcast, episode 4. All you YouTubers can have a little watch, share it, and do all your stuff. And this will be on Spotify and some other places as well, isn't it? I should really learn that a little bit better. But wherever you get your podcasts, I think is where we phrase it. Thank you very much, Tommy. As usual, we have got a crammed schedule now for this podcast. We have got podcasts coming out of our ears, lots of different people coming on, but really thrilled to have you on, Matt.
Thank you.
Representative of Draper Tools, and we'll hopefully see you trackside or at a game very
Can
soon.
I say one more thing?
Go on.
Come on, you Reds. I shouldn't say, wow, they're both Reds.
Well, Reds.
Oh, no,
Come on,
Liverpool.
Come on, you Saints. Let's just go with the Saints.
I love that. Come on, you Reds. You'll be like, oh, I got it wrong.